Whether it's chasing my babies or helping other amazing women bring theirs into the world, I'm always on the go. I'm a wife, a mom to 2 beautiful children, and a labor and delivery nurse. My name is Rosalind Haycraft, and I am a miraculous mom.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Miraculous Mamas podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Presta, and I am so glad that you are here. We believe in empowering women through storytelling and education, and today we are empowering men because it's Movemeber, which is taking back men's health and putting a focus on health issues facing men today. And who influences men? Women. That too. But I have some super exciting episodes for you guys this month since it is Movemeber, and it's also fertility month. So the next few episodes are going to be solely focused on the female cycle, fertility, Movemeber, men's health issues, and things like that. So today I have super exciting guests coming on from Nutriverve. They invented a male prenatal, and it is changing lives, and they are doing amazing work with it. But if you guys didn't know, we're actually in a sperm crisis, and a lot of people aren't talking about it. And I wanted to do a whole episode dedicated to it because there is so much that goes into it, and it does really take 2 to make a baby, but a lot of people aren't talking about that. So much of the emphasis still falls on the woman, on her health, on her body, when about 50% of infertility is male, from the male side. And that's not even taking into account a lot of other issues that men are facing, but also the genetic makeup of sperm. Men can change the genetic makeup of their sperm, helping to determine whether their child will have heart disease or different health factors that they will face when they're older, by taking control of your health now. And up until recently, it's kind of been like, men are the sperm donors, basically, and everything falls on the woman. And that is just simply not true. And there's so much research to back it up. So we are going to back it up in this episode with the ladies from Nutriverve, and they're going to share what they're about, what they're doing. We're going to talk a lot of research and statistics and things that you can do to start to change the health of your sperm. And a lot of those same things help change just your health in general, for men and women. There are so many things in this world now that are out of our control, but there's things that you can take back and that you can do to put you back in the driver's seat of your health and in control of your life. And it's going to be awesome. And I cannot wait for you guys to hear it. So I'm going to grab these amazing ladies. All right, everybody, I have Brianna and Rochelle here from Nutriverve Nutritionals, and they are a men's reproductive wellness company. They have an amazing prenatal for men. I know this is something a lot of us have been waiting for. We didn't even know it was what we needed in our lives. Men especially didn't know that they needed it in their lives. And we're going to talk about why it's so important, how we're kind of in a spermageddon going on right now. And it's something that not a lot of people are talking about, but there are answers and solutions and things that you can do to take control of your health and try to have healthy sperm, because healthy sperm produces healthy babies. So thank you so much, Brianna and Rochelle, for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. So I'm going to have you guys just tell me a little bit about yourselves, what you do, and how you came to come up with this male prenatal.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. This is Brianna speaking. I am a co-founder of Nutriverve Nutritionals, and I guess sort of the question, like why we launched prenatal for men. The idea of male prenatal started when I was having a discussion with some friends, and, we're discussing prenatal health and what that looks like. We're ready to start a family. We want to make healthier choices, looking into a prenatal myself, and wondering how important is the man's health prior to conception, and is there something he should be doing or taking. So through our research, we began to understand just how important preconception health and care was for both men and women. and that the health of your sperm plays a vital role in improving fertility as well as the development and long-term health of the child. So that's where the journey began.
Wow. Yeah. And it's so important because I feel like not until recently have I heard sperm health really being talked about.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's just because now it's come to the forefront so much more. You know, when you see headlines out there that basically saying we're in a sperm crisis and that, you know, the quality of sperm from men in you know, North America, Europe, Australia, all that has declined over the past 40 years by 52.4%. Those are pretty, you know, those are pretty strong statistics. So I think with all of that kind of coming to the forefront, it's kind of brought the attention to sperm health to the front burner, so to speak.
Yeah, well, it's on the front burners for people maybe who are in the industry, but I feel like it's still something that the majority of the population has zero idea about. And their doctors aren't telling them. They're like not hearing about it from any sources. So it's like, we're in this industry, so we're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
I know. Yeah. True enough. And you're right, because I didn't really know much about it until I started to research it myself. And I was like, whoa, how come I don't know this? Like, why hasn't anybody told me this before? So, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. It's if you're not in that mindset of having a baby and maybe not thinking about any of this stuff, or you're not in the industry, it's not common knowledge. And that's kind of the, you know, our journey is to kind of help change that conversation, bring the awareness out there, and, you know, make people aware of the fact that, you know, men and women both play equal roles when it comes to preconception health and care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I just want to clap when you say that, when you say men and women play equal roles, because you see so many people dealing with infertility these days. And I do believe like so much of it is out of our control. There's preventative care. There's things that you should be doing before it gets to that point. But there's so many environmental toxins and things in our food. And I was reading an article today about why sperm health has potentially decreased. And they were saying plastics, like so much of the toxins that leak from plastics, and your cell phone. They say you should never have your cell phone in your pocket. And these are things that we're constantly surrounded by. Like, even if I'm doing my best to eliminate plastics in my life, if I go to the grocery store to buy something, there's not a lot of options of things that aren't wrapped in plastic. Or, we have to have our phone. I work as a doula and I live on call. So if I get called into work, I have to have my phone on me, on loud. If a client goes into labor, I got to go. So it's like there's so much things that are out of our control that now we're facing all these infertility issues. And it's like, man, now we have to backpedal and learn how to do something about it.
Exactly. And it's almost like retraining how we approach everyday life, really. You know what I mean? And just rethinking how we do things. And overall, everything that they say out there, that is, you've got those hormone disruptors that you just mentioned with, the plastics and even the fragrances and things like that. It all comes down to like everyday health and everyday living and everyday and making those choices every day to kind of improve your health overall. I just think that we just kind of honestly have to kind of rethink things and retrain how we've approached life in general. We've become like the, society of convenience with everything. And, when you look back in prior generations and how they lived and what they did, they didn't have these sorts of things. I had a grandmother who lived to 98, and I swear I kept on saying to her, I'm like, Grandma, you're ahead of the trend. Like, I swear you're ahead of the trend with health and wellness. And she's like, I'm not ahead of the trend. Like, this is basically how I've lived my life. It just was different generations, right? So, maybe we have to go back to more simplistic ways of living in the sense, like, let's just rethink how we do things, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think that now it is coming closer to those times. All right. So I live in Chicago, which means it's getting very cold outside. This week it was in the 20s, and that means I don't want to go out there more than I have to, which includes running errands and going to the grocery store, which is why I love HelloFresh this time of year. They make cooking delicious meals at home a reality, regardless of your comfort in the kitchen. They have step-by-step recipes and pre-measured ingredients, so you'll have everything that you need to get a wow-worthy dinner on the table in just 30 minutes. And everything is delicious. They help you break out of your dinner rut, which I definitely get in all the time. I'll make the same things over and over because I run out of ideas. But HelloFresh has 20 plus seasonal chef curated recipes each week. And there's something for everyone, from family recipes and vegetarian and a fun menu series like the Hall of Fame and craft burgers. They have more 5-star recipes than any other meal kit, so you know that you're going to get something delicious. And they're very flexible. Add extra meals to your weekly order, as well as yummy add-ons like garlic bread and cookie dough. Easily change your delivery days, food preferences, and skip a week whenever you need. I love getting meals delivered from them because, like I said, I get in these funks where I just make the same thing over and over. And I always love finding new recipes that they give me because it just helps me get creative in the kitchen again, which I love to cook. So when I can be creative, it fuels my soul. But I recently had this Parmesan crusted chicken that was absolutely amazing. And Vito was like, wow, where did you get this recipe at? And I'm like, HelloFresh. They actually sent me all the ingredients too. But anytime I make something from there, he's like, whoa, where'd you learn how to do this? And I'm like, oh, HelloFresh, because he knows that I get in the rut and I make the same things all of the time. It's very consistent. So I love that they give me meals, different ideas to freshen up our dinners, and that I don't have to leave the house and brave the 20-degree weather to go to the grocery store, that the groceries for these amazing meals come to me. And right now, we have an amazing offer for you guys. For a limited time only, get 9 free meals with HelloFresh. Go to HelloFresh.com/MiraculousMamas9 and enter MiraculousMamas9 at the checkout. That's HelloFresh.com/MiraculousMamas9 and enter the code MiraculousMamas9 for 9 free meals with HelloFresh. I know that there's several statistics out there. There's like one in China that talks about their sperm donors. And in the year 2000, there was only 58% of the sperm was viable. And then in 2012, only 12%. And they said projected to 2022, almost none of it is going to be useful. So those are scary statistics. Like, how is this not being talked about? That's in 3 years.
I know. It's insane. You've totally nailed it, really, with the regards to, why aren't we talking about this more? Why isn't everybody kind of shouting this from the rooftop, so to speak? Yeah, you're right. I mean, it comes down to 3 big things, and it's kind of like your lifestyle factors, your environmental factors, and the fact that, more people are waiting longer to have kids too. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. But planning less, like Rochelle mentioned to me, think about how long people take to plan a wedding or to plan their career, which, college they're going to go to, or which, after they're done graduating, which career they're going to go, where are they going to live, and, saving their money to build their house. And then when it comes to planning a family, how often are we really kind of planning for that, making healthier choices and, taking a prenatal before. I mean, that's something that's going to last a lifetime. So why are we not preparing and planning more for that?
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, and I feel like, though, that's where our health industry is super slacking, because I've been told, by so many people, basically they visited their doctor when they're ready to start family planning. And they're basically like, okay, get off birth control and start. And there's no conversation around the side effects of birth control. When you're getting off, you're actually nutrient depleted. It depletes you so much. You need a few months of putting good nutrients in your body, being on a good prenatal, and taking care of yourself. And there's so many other things that go into it. So there's not a conversation being created around hey, like when I'm going to go do this amazing life-changing thing, I'm going to plan and prepare for it. But when it comes to pregnancy and having a baby, it's like, all right, like let's do it. It'll come naturally, you know, which I mean, yeah, the nurturing and those things do, but we don't like take into effect, especially the things that are out of our control. Like we were saying before, the environmental toxins and all these other things that could be contributing, and how you can take steps to minimize that in your home or in your life.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, we have to be proactive is what it is, right? And we have to actually be advocates for our health and for ourselves. And, you know, when I was going down this journey myself, I did prepare ahead of time and, you know, check my prenatals ahead of time, you know, went to see a naturopath. Like I kind of, you know, I was very proactive about what I was doing. This is before this male prenatal was even formulated or brought to the market, but I was proactive for myself. But during that process, and, you know, went to my doctor, things like that. During that process, and nobody said to me, hey, how's your guy's health? What's he doing? You know, nobody ever brought that up and said, you know, just make sure he's also healthy and he's watching what he eats.
Yeah,
and
he matters too.
Yeah. And, so that was like my big moment when I was researching all this. I was like, what? Like, why haven't we been told this?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And now that we know what we know, I mean, it's almost, you're obligated at this point to make those choices. And
well, you don't, you know, and it's like, you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. So like you said before, if the information's not out there, and, you know, medical professionals and, you know, whomever else aren't really sharing this or bringing this out as people start to plan for pregnancy, you don't know what you don't know. But once you do know and the information's there and you see it, you're like, wow, it's like the light bulb moment. And then it's like, once you know the facts, you can't, you know, you can't ignore them. Yeah, you can't kind of go back and it's like like Bree said, you almost like, okay, now that I know this, I'm going to try my best to make sure that I put the right steps in motion to, you know, kind of set the stage for my body to be the healthiest it can be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like, it's hard, you know, like it's not sure. Making these lifestyle changes aren't easy. Like I know for myself, I kind of had the same mentality of, hey, I want to, you know, my husband and I want to start trying in 6 months to a year, but I already knew like I had struggled with a thyroid problem years ago, and I had worked with a homeopathologist to balance it out, but I knew I had some digestive issues, and I ended up working with a functional medicine doctor, and I did like a hormone test and found my hormones are super out of whack. I did a food allergy test, and I was allergic to all these things, which were causing inflammation in my gut, which is why my hormones can't regulate themselves. And then also that I had a parasite that I didn't know about. So my body was not absorbing nutrition because it was working so hard to fight this parasite that's also causing those food allergies. Like everything was a whole. So I couldn't have just taken one test and gotten the results. Like it was everything seriously connected. Like my gut was connected to my hormone health, and that's connected to how I'm feeling and my fertility. And, you know, it's been a hard journey for me, like trying to figure out, like I literally can't go out to eat anywhere because my food allergies are so specific and weird. Like I can't have black or white cracked pepper, and it's like, or tomato and things like that. So it's like anything that has a sauce or anything that's pre-made has those ingredients in it. And so it's like so stressful for me going to a party or going out for somebody's birthday, because it's like I either have to eat before I go, and then I'm grumpy because I'm around everyone who's eating things I can't. And you know, it's been hard, and I've cheated here and there, but then I end up feeling like crap. And and I know that this is also temporary. Like I need to heal my gut and heal my body, and then I can introduce these foods back in and get back to not, you know, being so psycho about food. And, but it's been really, really hard, and it's a struggle. And there's times where I'm like, you know what, I probably could have gotten pregnant and been fine. But if I had this parasite sucking all these nutrients from me while my baby's sucking all these nutrients from me, like I would have felt horrible. So it's so hard. And I think that that's like, I don't know. There's not the preventative care leading up to pregnancy, you know, or precaution of, hey, like, let me make sure I'm healthy. Let me make sure that these things are checked off, and then feeling my best, because pregnancy is going to do all sorts of wacky things to you anyways.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yes.
And like you said, unless you're in it, and, you know, a lot of times people don't really do anything until problems start to arise, right? And so then they start to kind of take note of, okay, maybe we should be making some changes here and doing different things. But, you know, I just, it's just retraining the way we think and how we approach things. And I think that if we all just kind of took that mindset as, let's just kind of take that healthiest approach, lifestyle, changing our lifestyle is like so huge, and everything, your behaviors and the habits, it all kind of correlates to how that body is going to be ready to produce a baby. So it's just such an important factor.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys, would you buy a t-shirt for $50 if you knew it only cost $7 to make? I don't think so. And with Everlane, you never overpay for quality clothes because they only make premium essentials using the finest materials without traditional markups. And they let you know what you're paying for and why. They tell you their real costs, and they are radically transparent about every step in their process, from the materials they use to the ethical factories that they work with. Did you know that there's so many factories out there that aren't ethical? And I love supporting companies that are doing good work in the world, which Everlane is doing. And no matter your style or preference, Everlane's clothes look better, cost less, and last longer because they sell directly to you. I ordered some amazing clothes from there. I love their Cotton Crew t-shirt. I got me Vito matching white ones. I got their high-waisted yellow corduroy pants, which I am obsessed with. A pair of boyfriend jeans, which brought me back to my glorious 90s self that I didn't even know I was missing or needed. And they have the Japanese denim made at the world's cleanest denim factory, which is amazing. I got a pair of black sneakers from them, a couple of other tops, and I just love the fact, again, that they are transparent and doing amazing things in the world. Not only are they transparent, but they are also committed to eliminating all virgin plastic from their supply chain by 2021. And we've been talking about the impacts of plastic in this episode and how it affects our health, and they are working toward eliminating it. How cool is that? And right now I have an amazing offer for you guys. You can check out our personalized collection at everlane.com/mamas. Plus you get free shipping on your first order. That's everlane.com/mamas. everlane.com/mamas. And remember, when you support our sponsors, you support this podcast. So when it comes to sperm health, I was reading the other day about how men, when they go in to get their sperm tested, they were being told that it's fine, but yet they're still struggling. Do you know exactly like what they're testing for?
Well, I think when you get kind of like an evaluation of sperm, they're looking for kind of like some of the key markers of sperm health, which is like your count, volume, morphology, which means like the shape and size, and how well your sperm move. So because all of those kind of play a key role in whether or not how things all work together, right? So a low sperm count, like you were saying, the World Health Organization classifies sperm count at or about 15 million sperm per milliliter as an average. So the more you have, like the more likely one of them will make it to an egg. Although a low sperm count doesn't necessarily mean that a man will not be able to get the partner pregnant, sort of thing. It just may mean you got to take some more tries, sort of thing, right? And even with morphology, like this is the shape of the sperm. They should have little oval heads and long tails. They should look like tadpoles. And whereas abnormal sperm shape might affect the ability of the sperm to reach and penetrate the egg. And then with movement, if sperm aren't swimming properly, they're going to have problems getting to the egg. So those are kind of the key markers, I think, that they look for in a semen analysis when guys go and get checked.
Yeah. I also read that, if couples are doing IUI or IVF, that they only need about 1 million motile sperm. So the number's much lower because they can do it there. So also I know if they're testing and they're already in the IUI process, they'll be like, oh yeah, you have enough, but that's for them to do it clinically, not necessarily for you to still do it naturally on your own.
Right.
But how, let's say this guy has the average number of swimmers and, decent morphology and motility, but how much of those tests actually reflect the health of those sperm, the quality?
I mean, it's a cell in your body, right? So, and there's genetic codes linked to each sperm, and just kind of like through the research that we were doing, okay, how is this sperm going to affect the overall healthy development, even long-term, of the child? And one sperm takes about 2.5 to 3 months to fully mature. So, I mean, during that time, it's critical, and the genetic code can be modified during that time through your healthier choices. So, I mean,
quality and quantity of sperm are both important factors when it comes to helping pregnancy, right? And also the man's genetic contribution, to the pregnancy. I mean, a lot of factors kind of come into play, right? So.
Yeah, well, the reason I ask is because I've spoken to several women who have struggled or who are going through this journey, and their partners smoke cigarettes and drink, and they've asked their doctor, they test the sperm, they say it's fine, and they ask their doctor, does he need to quit smoking? And the doctor's like, oh no, he's fine. His sperm looks fine. And my mind just wants to explode.
I know. Right, because they're not taking in, there's such a thing out there called epigenetics, right? So, it's important to have healthy sperm, right? So basically, there's this doctor out there. His name is Dr. Sergio Pecorelli, and he's kind of one of the leading researchers in this area. And he has this theory that the sperm and egg cells are susceptible to epigenetic activity. And what epigenetic activity is, it's basically that social and environmental choices can impact a person's genetic expression. And so it basically causes genes to become what they say active or expressed, which just means turned on or turned off. So, for example, if you have an unhealthy lifestyle involving things like poor diet, smoking, lack of exercise, it can turn on those gene expressions that are related to certain diseases like heart disease, obesity, stuff like that. While incorporating healthier life choices can suppress them. So, lifestyle factors play a significant role in whether on the health, the health of the sperm and what kind of gets passed on to your child.
Yeah, I remember reading one study that said men who drink, their child is 44% more likely to be born with a congenital heart defect.
Yeah, that just came out recently. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my gosh. And the thing is, you think about the woman who, let's say, there's tons of people who get pregnant who are, I know tons of people who are on vacation, drinking, have a good time, realize they got pregnant, and they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. And our bodies are also meant to protect that, to protect your baby as it's growing. And, as we come out with new research and findings and information, it's nothing to ever look back on and be like, oh my gosh, I screwed up. It's only information to hey, I know this now, and to move forward with. Don't ever feel bad, but take it the information that you have now to move forward to make better choices.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't beat yourself up, right? It's you just, move forward with better choices.
Well, and then I recently read another study that talked about men who smoke marijuana, because, there's tons of articles out there about the benefits of cannabis and things that it can help with. And I definitely think that it's a healthier choice than a lot of pharmaceutical drugs for things. But there's also studies showing that men who smoke marijuana a couple times a week, they increase the chance of miscarriage by 50%.
Yeah, they're saying marijuana is, worse than smoking itself, right? It's we read some data that indicated that, consuming marijuana was linked to abnormal size and shape of sperm, as well as count and motility. So it's affecting sperm on multiple levels. I would steer clear of.
I would try to cut that little fun habit for the while you're trying to plan to get pregnant, right?
Well, at least 3 months before, because that's the life cycle of the sperm. So at least 3 months before, and then until you get pregnant.
Absolutely. Yeah, and on that 3 months, I mean, yes, it does take 3 months for sperm to fully mature. But you'll see like a lot of these leading researchers and doctors that are out there now behind this movement and behind like kind of bringing this to the forefront are saying like 6 months is kind of the sweet spot to start making lifestyle changes that will, basically can make a difference and translate into more positive, gene expression, so to speak. So it's, with us, when we got our male prenatal multivitamin approved by Health Canada, we go through a really, really strict regulatory process in order for our product to become Health Canada approved. So, basically they recommend 6 months also. So it was recommended, take 6 months prior to conception.
The interesting thing about trying to get Health Canada approved too, like just this speaks on how new this whole study is and this topic is Health Canada had a bunch of monographs on their website that you could submit clinical trials for approved claims on your product. And Health Canada didn't have sperm cell health on there. So it was quite tricky trying to get those clinical trials to submit to them to prove sperm cell health is a claim that we can put on our product. But we did it. Woohoo.
Yeah. So we're the first licensed product in Canada to claim sperm cell health.
Wow. So, wow. What a victory.
Yeah, it was.
We think so.
Quite the feat, but here we are, right? Yeah. So, and I hope the product and these conversations, like you'll see, and we say this a lot, like more than just a vitamin, we want male prenatal to change the conversation, like
create around a movement,
and around what preconception health and care looks like, because we're very passionate about the fact that healthy family planning takes two. Guys matter too. They're an important part of this whole equation.
Yeah, they are. They're so important.
You just can't. It's a teamwork. Fertility is teamwork. It's a team effort.
Yes, and that's why I'm just so grateful for what you guys are doing and that conversation that you're creating. So by now, everyone's heard about CBD and the amazing benefits of it, but it's so important to choose your CBD source wisely because not all of it is created equally. And I'm going to tell you about Hemp Fusion because they are an amazing company that combines CBD with other vital nutrients that your body needs, such as omegas and terpenes. And they are so committed to giving you what's best for your body because CBD works best in your system when it is combined with other nutrients. And Hemp Fusion also adds other nutrient ingredients to create products that help specifically with stress, sleep, and energy, which is something that everyone is dealing with these days. Everybody has stress in their life. Everyone wants more sleep and could use a little bit more energy. And our bodies already make cannabinoids, and the plant-based CBD helps to naturally balance our bodies. I've been taking the Hemp Fusion Twist. It is the citrus ginger with turmeric, and it's a mind and body balance. There's so much linked between your gut and your mind health, and when you have a product that it has nutrients in it that helps both, then you have an amazing product like this one from Hemp Fusion. And it's available both online and at a natural products retailer near you, shipped anywhere in the United States. And please use the code MAMAS for 20% off your first order and free shipping at hempfusion.com. That's promo code MAMAS. Get Hemp Fusion shipped anywhere in the United States. Promo code MAMAS for 20% off at hempfusion.com. So I posted it on my Instagram that I got those prenatals for Vito, and I had so many people reach out and be like, where did you get those from? Like, I just ordered some for my partner, and they're like, what? I've never heard of this. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Like it's such an important conversation. And when you think about that 6-month sweet spot, when you're pregnant, you give up all those things. You give up so many things when you're pregnant. So it's not that much to ask a guy to give up a few things for 6 months when you're like, I'm going to be giving him up for, I mean, if you start on that 6 months with him, you're going to be giving up for like 2 years. Like,
Well,
it's like,
and especially, especially when, like, there was this, article out in CNN earlier this year, and it talked about lifestyle factors and how important they are in a man's health before conception and stuff like that. And the one of the doctors there on that they were interviewing, he just said, lifestyle factors may affect sperm parameters, pregnancy, and miscarriage rates, but one of the most concerning issues is altercations in sperm that can be transferred to offspring and affect their development and long-term health. Like, let that sink in for a second, because when you think about the impact of that, and like, I could change things. I could change things positively.
Yes.
Wouldn't you do what you could to make that happen? So I think there's clear lifelong repercussions here. And so it's once you know this stuff, it's really hard not to say, okay,
ignore it.
Yeah. I got to do what I got to do. It's like you're investing in yourself and in your future self, sort of thing. Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you have the ability to try to give your kids the best chance you can, why would you not do that?
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
Right. But, it really comes down to being proactive about your health and care. And really that's kind of where it's kind of like, that's the first step, right? Is really kind of changing the way people approach healthy family planning together. And the fact that, you need to be proactive about your health and care, and you need to take the steps to kind of make those changes together. And doing it together actually is more fun anyways, because you have each other to support each other, and you're in it together basically. This is your future. So it's just one of those things where, I did read a stat recently too that, only 34% of women are taking prenatal vitamins. And so that was a little bit mind blowing.
Yeah.
And to me too, I was like, wow, like, okay, women, obviously women need to be kind of more proactive on their side too. So it really is a team effort. Together, you need to be approaching, this big journey in life together, and, kind of setting that solid foundation as you move forward.
Right. Well, again, I think it's because there's no conversation around it before. It's like you get pregnant, then you start taking a prenatal, or there needs to just be like a general checklist for everyone of like, hey, I'm planning on, like if you go to the doctor and it's like, we're planning on starting to have a family in a year. Okay. Like here's things to start doing now. Here's things to, start implementing right now. And, and sometimes you don't have a year. Sometimes it's like, out of nowhere, you're like, we're ready, and I get that, exactly. And that happens, but I'm definitely trying to do the best you can. And I know that looks different for everyone. Like I can be a little crazy sometimes, and my husband will attest to that, because I'll be like, don't eat that sugar. But he has a huge sweet tooth. So, and there's studies that show that when you eat a lot of sugar, it slows down your sperm. And, so, but I mean, I definitely think that life has ebbs and flows and seasons, and it's okay to go out and celebrate and have a glass of wine and have a piece of cake and to celebrate, because that's really important too. But it's when you indulge in those things that it has detrimental impacts on your health.
Exactly. You totally nailed it. It's really all about balance, right? And it's about balance.
Yeah.
And you don't have to, like you said, you don't have to go crazy.
You're less stressed if you're balanced too.
That's right. So, exactly.
That is very true. So what would you say, I guess, to people, since there are tons of environmental factors that are out of our control, what are a few things in our control that are simple steps that people could take, or men could take, since we're kind of focusing on men?
with regards to environmental factors sort of thing, I would say, a lot of the kind of everyday things that you can look at are avoiding, colognes, heavy fragrance, body sprays, lotions, deodorants, that kind of thing. Unless they have essential oils in them, then that should be all right. But I know you mentioned before the plastic food and containers, like I read somewhere, like don't heat your food with, in plastic containers or with like plastic wrap over top sort of thing. Obviously choosing fresh food and eating
instead of canned food,
is better. And even what you're cooking with, right? Using stainless steel or cast iron pans instead of the nonstick pans, stuff like that. So, there's simple things that you can do to kind of watch those environmental factors. And there's just, in your everyday life, just changing things up, even in your, toothpaste, deodorants, all that kind of stuff. These are simple things that you can start to change.
Yeah. I would love to touch on the fragrances. How do those affect your fertility? The things with like deodorant and perfumes and colognes and lotions that have all these fragrances in them.
Well, I think they're kind of called hormone disrupting chemicals, right? And basically they kind of wreak havoc on your body and the balance of things. So I don't know exactly everything that can go, wrong, but I know that basically with men, I think it's kind of like it can affect like the testosterone, because that's a key male hormone. So basically I think that, those kinds of items can affect those hormonal issues. So
yeah, that is something that I've recently trying to, go through my house and get rid of things that, have things in them that I shouldn't have. And I went on this trip and my favorite bottle of perfume broke all over my suitcase.
Right.
And so all these things reeked of it. But then I was kind of glad that it broke. I'm like, maybe that's a sign that I need to quit using this. I mean, for the most part, I don't really use perfume and I'm a huge essential oil person, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy because again, it's one of those things that's not really talked about. And when you look at, I know specifically the products in the United States, we allow so many more things in your facial products and your makeup and your everyday life things, like you're saying, soap, dish soap, lotion, than other countries. I know Europe bans like 3,000 more ingredients than we do. And those are things, and those are things that are hormone disruptors. And it sucks because it's like, you didn't know this, and I've been using this for 20 years of my life, having no idea that my favorite toothpaste or deodorant from puberty or lotion, my favorite Victoria's Secret scent, had this stuff in it.
I know. It's true. And that's why you see so many new brands now hitting the market, because this is becoming such a big trend, right? Yeah. And it's not just for when you're in, looking at your preconception health and care in that reproductive time of your life. This is like for everyday life, like I've made a ton of changes with regards to, the makeup I put on my face, the deodorant I use, and, it's, and I believe me, I've been testing out a few. So.
Same.
But, it is. And that's just because, I'm becoming more aware of what I should and shouldn't be putting into my body
or your children.
Yeah. Or my children. And, and it didn't really hit me until I did have my little guy. And I started looking at all the things that I was giving him or giving myself, like when I was pregnant sort of thing. That's kind of when you start to do that research yourself and think, okay, is this good? Should I be doing this? Should I be putting this on myself? And, even now with him, all the stuff that I get him that doesn't have any toxins in it. So we're going back. Like, it's kind of like we're changing the way we,
times.
We're going back to simpler times and simple ingredients. We became this world of like chemicals and fast this, fast that, disposable this, disposable that. And, I think now we're looking at the world in a different light,
even
because
our
we have to
impact too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is so hard because even with the environmental impact, I remember talking to this lady who she actually works for the scientific water company that tests the soil in the United States. And basically heavy metals are so ingrained in our soil, it would take like hundreds of years for it to be completely gone. So there's no way to completely rid yourself of heavy metals because it's in everything.
Yeah, I know. It's true. I mean, you're never going to 100% be in a chemical-free world. You know what I mean? But I think you as the individual just have to start making some different choices to kind of help
the things
balance
you can
out.
control.
Where you can control them.
I remember reading somewhere, if you start changing one thing like at a time, but start with deodorant. I remember reading that somewhere, get aluminum-free deodorant because that's like just one simple change that you're putting on your body every single day that could make a huge difference.
Yeah. And like you said, and it just starts with one thing. And then next thing you know, you've started to introduce something else. And before you know it, your whole lineup of products and things that you cook with, clean with, whatever has changed. And it's just taking little steps every day. Like, I think, you don't need to overwhelm yourself with that's it. I'm doing a full cleanup. I'm purging everything. I'm tossing everything else in. And you're like, and where do I start? You know what I mean? It's like, it's good to, like what you said, just take little steps every day to make changes, more positive changes.
Well, right. Because, I mean, despite all of these crazy conditions, people are getting pregnant and having healthy babies all the time. So our bodies do the best that they can to protect the baby and get it everything that it needs. And life is just so miraculous. And I think it's so easy to get overwhelmed because I know I do. Yeah. I get so overwhelmed by the things that I feel like I still need to change or do. And it's like, man, like I'm doing the best I can right now. And there does come a point where it's like, you just have to let go and trust.
No, you're right. Or else you're going to get so bummed out and just be like, oh, forget it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Don't lose sleep over it either.
Right. Yeah. It's hard though. Cause there is like you're saying before, once you know this information, you can't go back. You can't you can't pretend that you don't know all these things. So,
But, everything in moderation too, right? With all the things that are out there that basically, they're saying to what you need to kind of the important factors, the lifestyle changes you need to make with like the eating well, exercising, avoiding alcohol, or cutting back on alcohol, things like that. Like these really are everything in moderation, and it's just do what you can, right? It's hard to kind of take everything into consideration all at once and try and do it, but little by little, everything does kind of fall into place, I think, as you kind of go along and you start making like, you're cognizant of like, okay, I'm just going to change my diet up a little bit here. And maybe I'll go for a walk today. And then, maybe not worry so much about work so much and the stress levels decrease. Like it's just taking little things every day and making some changes and it's just kind of like breathe, guys. Like we don't really, just breathe. Take a moment, breathe, and just change what you can, and don't be overwhelmed by it.
And there's more and more products coming out in the market that, address this sort of stuff. And I think we'll see a shift even in retail, where retail markets, like mass markets, will start carrying healthier products for our homes and for our bodies. And so it'll be easier for us to eventually go to the supermarket and just pick what's already on the shelf there, which is nice.
I mean, it's already starting to happen. It has been for years, but I think it's going to increase tenfold, as we move along, because you're already seeing the changes being made, and it's just going to increase as time goes by. And so, like Bree said, it will be easier for you to make those changes and make more healthier choices because you're going to have more options in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that because it gets overwhelming, it kind of turns people off. So just getting information out there of like one thing at a time, and it's also, I think it's hard because when you think about like organic food and all these different, like even now there's so much research around tampons and pads and how you should get organic those too, because of the cotton and the things like the FDA, I know in the United States does not require those companies to put the list of ingredients that are in
I know, it's so
tampons
crazy.
and pads. Right. Well, and cotton is one of the number one crops that has glyphosate in it, which is a huge effect on fertility. So, like, you know, buying, I use a cup, a menstrual cup, but I had to, when I travel, I'll get tampons, and I went to the store to buy organic ones the other day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like switching to things that I'm trying to do to better my health is so expensive.
I know. And that's been the problem, I think, for years too, is that making that healthier choice has cost the consumer more. And, but as you see more and more products come in the market, that will shift.
Right. It'll be more competitive.
And the price point has to change, right? So, you know, I think just as the world in general starts to become more aware, and the consumer starts to demand healthier things and healthier choices, then things are going to change.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I also know that there's tons of do-it-yourself things out there. I started making my own dry shampoo, which I absolutely love.
Oh, really?
Awesome. Yeah, I'll send you guys one. Well, only if you're brunette, because it's for brunettes. It's like tinted.
That's good for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you one. I love it because it's like tinted brown, so I don't have like the white crusty stuff in my hair, and it's like 4 ingredients, and I absolutely love it. And I know that there's tons of do-it-yourself stuff that you can look up that are simple things that you can do in your home for, you know, and replace the chemical or fragrance items.
So sure. And it's you being proactive, right? And you kind of taking those steps. You know, a lot of my friends are the exact same way. They're all very proactive about making those changes. And, you know, like I even went so far as to like, I color my hair quite a bit just because I've, you know, the grays, you know how it is. And I'm brunette. And I even went, and I started getting really worried about, okay, I'm putting this hair color in my hair quite often, which is not good, and worried about the chemicals there. And so I went and found a product that basically was ammonia free. And so I asked my hairdresser, I'm like, could you bring this in for me and start putting this in my hair? Because I'm freaking out that I'm coloring my hair so often and this is what's happening, right? And she's like, yeah, no problem. So she started bringing it in, and she goes, guess what? I've got like about 6 other clients now using this stuff. So I'm like, cool. Good. So I started to change things at the hair salon.
Yeah, that's so awesome. My aunt is a hairdresser, and she only uses all natural products. So I use a hemp-based dye for my hair now.
Oh, okay.
And
cool.
And she said even with some of those, you have to be careful. But she, working with chemicals and stuff her whole life, she noticed things in her health going extremely wrong. Like she had thyroid problems. She had all sorts of different stuff from just being exposed to these chemicals every day. And that's when she made the complete switch over. So she only offers like chemical-free hair products. So it's
very cool.
She had to, though. She was like, I had no choice but to make this lifestyle change because she got so extremely sick.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, it's so true. And then even you look at nail salons now too, there's a lot of non-toxic nail salons opening up too because of the same sort of thing. Right. Yeah. So we are changing. The world is changing. It's just, you know, it doesn't happen overnight, but we'll eventually get there, and the changes will, you know, impact everyone for the better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I would love for you guys to just talk to us about your product a little bit and the ingredients in it and how that's helping sperm and, you know, what it's about.
Okay. Where you want to?
Sure. Yeah. So it's a specially formulated multivitamin designed to support sperm cell health. It also contributes to general well-being and cardiovascular health as well. We also believe, though, our product in conjunction with a healthy lifestyle, of course, because you can't just, you know, make all the choices you want and then just take this supplement. But we do have clinical trials that do back up the claims of the ingredients in our product, which is really cool, knowing obviously the extensive we had to go through with Health Canada prior to what, you know, we had to do with FDA.
So just so you know, the FDA does not do the same sort of thing.
Right. You just submit your labels and then they just have to be FDA compliant. And so, and then so we do have 7 essential ingredients in our capsules. It's a veggie cap. And each one, like I said, has had clinical trials to back up the claims to support sperm cell health in them.
So yeah, we have like Bree said, the 7 essential ingredients. And so those ingredients were chosen. Basically, a lot of research went into looking at minimum, maximum levels for safety and efficacy of each ingredient. And then the amount of ingredients that we selected were based on optimal amounts for the efficacy and not just as standalone ingredients, synergistic ingredients working together. So, like Bree said, they're clinically proven ingredients to support sperm cell health. And we kept it pretty simple, just with the 7. And, like with the synergistic ingredients working together, they're obviously it's high in antioxidants and with some micronutrients. So
to help protect against the oxidative stress, which causes the DNA damage, the fragmentation in the sperm cell.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just said something I didn't understand, but it sounds really scientific.
Oh, sorry about that.
No.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no. Yeah. I mean, what you guys are doing is really cool. And I know you guys have so many testimonials from your products. So I'd love to kind of hear the things that you guys have heard from clients who started taking and using your product.
Well, we've had, you can have that one feedback that you said.
There was a couple, they wanted to do very expensive fertility treatment, but the fertility doctor quite frankly said, listen, I don't think your sperm levels are good enough right now for you to do this treatment, just to be quite frank. So they started taking male prenatal, and 6 months later got their sperm tested again and came back with results of, wow, your sperm levels have increased quite a bit. Yeah, we can go through and do this treatment now. So that was quite exciting. That was a happy dance moment for me.
Yeah. And then, on the flip side of that, we've had, some testimonials from folks. And one most recently was from a couple who, they were aware of the fact that they needed to kind of set a solid foundation prior to starting for their family. And so they put the wheels in motion to, change, incorporate better lifestyle habits, plus add a multivitamin like male prenatal to their mix. And she said within 2 months, they were happy to say that they were pregnant, and she's now 5+ months along with them. Things are going well. And so she was quite excited by that. And she's like, I'm going to tell all my friends. I'm like, yeah, share it, spread the news. So I think you're going to see, like Elizabeth, more and more people, as the word kind of gets out there, as this becomes more of a topic of discussion. It's funny, we were at an event not too long ago in LA, and how you're saying before, we touched on the fact that we were saying a lot of people don't know. If you're not in the industry, you don't know. But I think the shift is happening, and it's happening more and more because male wellness is becoming a very kind of hot industry at the moment. And more we're starting to talk about male health in general and what that means and what that looks like. And I think that reproductive health is obviously one of those key
it's on
the cusp of something huge. And we're at this event and we're talking to people about our product, and they're looking at the product and they're like, wow, this just makes sense. This is like,
why has this never been done before?
This is awesome. They get it, right? And a lot of guys were at our
very intrigued
by all
they
of this.
Took a double look, and they had the confused look at first, male prenatal, and then they would come up to us and go, okay, you guys got to explain this. So we did, and the response was fantastic. I mean, it's more empowering the man that, like, hey, like you are a contributing factor, like you matter too, and that's amazing, and we're pumped about that. And they took it. It was like the light went on, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we are. We do matter."
I'm not just a sperm donor.
Exactly.
Yeah, but exactly. I feel like I can see the reverse being true too, because I feel like with men, there is kind of this, egotistical, I'm the man. Yeah. Right. And so I feel like this is going to be a product, which way I'm so glad you guys are on, because my the majority of my audience is women, and it's going to be women buying this product for their man because like, I still feel like there is that not wanting to admit that they might have a problem.
Yeah, you're right. I still, that is for sure is there still. I do think like that will change, especially as, you know, this becomes more prevalent. We talk about this more. You've got the new generation that comes up and maybe learns about this at a younger age, right? It just becomes about education and awareness. And, you know, it won't be like, oh, you're taking a male prenatal? Like, what is that? It's going to be like, oh, yeah, male prenatal. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it'll be hopefully just commonplace that this is what you do and this is how you approach pregnancy together.
Yeah, normal practice.
It's just normal. This is the norm, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think it's so important for people to know that this isn't just for fertility. If you're struggling with fertility issues, it's not that at all. It's for all pregnancy. Like, this is for healthy sperm that make healthy babies. It's not, you know, just if you're struggling or if you're having problems, like, it can definitely help if you're in that category. But if you're thinking about family planning, if it's on your list of things to do in the next year, like, look into this and get your husband or partner on this. And because their sperm, as we've been talking about, contributes so much to the health of your pregnancy, to the health of your child, and it could affect them for their entire life, like up to whether they have heart disease when they're old or not. So it's something to take if you're planning on having kids at all.
Yeah, exactly.
You nailed it.
Yeah, you did. And like I think that's the biggest thing that kind of resonates with people when they start to learn about this. And I know for me, that was the one thing. It's like, the lifelong impact on a child's health, you're like, whoa, this is huge. And if you can kind of help improve that or change that or whatever, wouldn't you do that? Wouldn't you take those steps to do something like that? So, I mean, it's I don't even know what else to say about that.
Well, and I just love that it's putting the ball in both courts. It's giving responsibility and ownership to both partners because, it's crazy because with these sperm statistics, you still see that the majority of women think that it's them or is being told that it's them or their partner's sperm's been tested and they're like, oh, it's fine. It's still you. But it's like, but with these statistics, how could you argue against that? Like, literally the quality of sperm has decreased 60% over the last 80 years. And how is this not, why are people's jaws not on the floor?
Well, exactly. Right. You know, like somebody called it, like when I was reading an article, they called it like the canary in the coal mine sort of thing. Like this is huge and we need to get to the root of the problem. Right. So, lifestyle factors are kind of, number one. And it's like I said, the environmental factors. And then, with age too, people are having children later in life. Yeah. And, I think that, as men age, their sperm quality declines. So they're not, and I don't think a lot of guys know that, or, we kind of
onus is still usually on the woman. So
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like all women know that. Like women know, like I know if I wait till I'm 43 to have a baby, like I'm more at risk for chromosomal, like, differences or whatever. Like it's my eggs age.
Yeah. No, and it's totally true. But, with age and men aging and their sperm, it alters their sperm. And so there could be, a kind of a lot of things that kind of result because of that sort of thing. You know what I mean?
The only thing that keeps coming to my mind is The Handmaid's Tale throughout all of this.
Oh my, yes. My friend told me that.
I only watched a few episodes of that, but do tell, go on.
No, yeah. I mean, because it's basically the world, but mostly like North America is in this problem of not being able to have kids. And so the handmaids are basically slaves to these families that want to have children and they're there to bear their children. And a lot of times they're thinking that it's the woman, but she's in this clinic and she said, the guy said the majority of the time it's the male, like men are almost completely infertile now. And so when I hear these things, I'm like, it's happening.
You're like, oh my God, this is it. No, it's true. It's like, according, like several studies have indicated, like 40 to 50% of infertility cases are due to male factor.
Right.
So,
right.
And it's really just changing generations of mindset. Like, we've all had this, like, the onus has always been on the woman.
The sperm is just the sperm,
and exactly. You thought you could just, do your thing and that was it, sort of thing. Right. But, obviously we now know there's so much more there, and it really is just going to become, change will come through awareness and education. And, maybe it's like even getting into the schools sooner too, and teaching kids at that age
preconception health,
about what preconception health means, and that, the role that both men and women play. It's we kind of have to change it at that beginning level also. Right. So there's layers here that need to kind of be addressed. Right. So
yeah, absolutely. And you say like 40 to 50% is male factored infertility, but that's not even taking into account the doctors who are like, oh, your partner can still smoke. Oh, your partner can still do this, and saying that it's fine. Like those people aren't even looking at the health quality of the sperm. And so it could potentially even be way higher than that.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree.
Yeah, you're right. So
women, tell your men. Because I mean, that's why I'm so glad you guys are coming on here. Cause I feel like, I know for me, my husband takes whatever pills I put in front of him. So I'm like, here, take these. And then he takes them, because I'm like, I'm the health nut and he's not. So if I don't set it out for him, he doesn't take it. Like I have to put his probiotic on the counter before bed. So he takes it in the morning, and I have to give him his prenatals at dinner. Otherwise he won't take them. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like
we're the gatekeepers.
Yeah, exactly. It's, like the saying, like the man's the head, but the woman's the neck. And we have so much sway over what our partners, think or do, and in the things in our household. And maybe it'll take them a while to get on board, but especially if you have research and knowledge and things backing it, like how could they say no?
Right. It's not just a matter of opinion anymore. It's a matter of facts and clinical trials, so it's going to be a hard one to argue.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, ladies, for coming on. If people want to find out more about your product and what you're doing, where can they find you at?
They can find us at nutraverve.com. And that's our website, and they can come check us out there. We've got all the information that they need, and any other questions they have, they can reach out to us at info@nutraverve.com.
Yeah, and you guys should definitely go follow them on Instagram, because they always put up like little tricks and tips to help with sperm health, and just little bits of information on there of things you can do at home or add to your diet or change. And it's a great page to follow, just to educate yourselves and your partner. So thank you so much, ladies, for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
They are so awesome. And I'm so glad that they took the time to come on, because when I heard that there was a male prenatal, it blew my mind, because I never even thought that would be a thing. And it's just one added step that can contribute to the male's health and the health of their sperm, which does affect your child's future, that does affect your pregnancy as a woman, the fertility, everything. And it's so important just to have this information. And again, I'm going to say this so many times over the next lifetime of this podcast, that never take any of the information and look back, only take it and look forward, and see how you can improve. And we are a podcast about that, about learning, about growing, educating ourselves, empowering ourselves, giving us the tools, giving you the tools to take control of our health, of our lives, of whatever we can, because there's so many things in this world that is out of our control, and there's not going to be one cure all. Like, it's not, hey, take this prenatal and you're going to get pregnant. Like, no, there's so many different things that go into it, but can this be one thing that can help in your future child's health? Absolutely. And we just want to better ourselves and continue to learn how to change, like little changes that affect future generations to come. Again, there's so many detrimental things that have already happened that have impacted our planet and our world that are out of our control. And we're also never, like, even if you do all of the steps, like, there's still going to be things that are out of your control. If you eat perfectly healthy and have no toxins in any of your products, like, there's still things that are out of your control and you can only do so much. And I know it can drive you a little bit crazy because I've been there, but just doing one thing at a time and taking one step toward better health, and that will affect so much of your life, of your kids' lives. So it's just small steps that we could take to be healthier. And we're all on this journey together. And I am excited to share more of it with you guys. So I started my video series of things that I'm doing to prepare my body, and this week's video is going to be up, and it's about getting rid of those toxins in my home, which my home is still not completely toxin free. There's a few things that I'm like, I don't know what to get for this or how to replace this product. So I hope some of you guys can help me out with that. But I'm going to share with you the things that I found ingredients in that I didn't know were there, and things that I've swapped out, and a few other changes that I've made to try to help my hormones balance. I already have a huge hormonal imbalance. And so if there's things that I can help to help my body regulate, I'm going to take those steps, because I don't want to be on supplements for the rest of my life. I don't want to be on, a strict diet and strict things trying to help my body out. I want to be able to live my life again. And so I'm going to be sharing a lot of that information with you guys in this week's video. So look out for that. If you're listening to the podcast and you are not subscribed, hit the subscription button and leave us a rating. Give us a review. Tell me why you love this podcast and what brings you here every single week. I love hearing from you guys, and I love when you guys share the podcast on your social media platforms. It just brings me so much joy knowing that we are in community and we are in this together. If you're not a part of our Facebook group, you should probably join that, because these women are amazing. And I was just talking to them this week. It's so cool that we can have this group of women who have different walks of life, different parenting styles, different everything, but yet it's such a peaceful group, and these women just love on each other, and it's so cool to be a part of it. So look up the Miraculous Mamas group, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and I cannot wait to talk to you next week about female myths about fertility and a lot of amazing information with one of the head ladies from Ava Women, and she is going to educate us so much on our bodies and help us just continue to learn and grow. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you next week.
This podcast is brought to you by Wave Podcast Network. Check out all of our shows, including the Brain Candy Podcast, I Don't Get It, Coffee Convos, and Let's Talk About It.